Megastar, magbababay lang po ako.
Magbabuhay ka na. Matagal natin na sa Megastar.
Love you, Mommy.
Some say Sharon Cuneta became a millionaire before she was even old enough to drive. Others claim she quietly built a real estate empire that turned her into one of the wealthiest figures in Philippine entertainment. But here's the part nobody can seem to agree on. How much of that story is real? How much is exaggerated? And what actually made her money last? Behind the awards, the sold-out concerts, and decades of staying relevant, there's a much deeper story about early success, painful financial lessons, and decisions that completely changed the trajectory of her life. This isn't just about fame or talent. It's about timing, discipline, and a shift most people never noticed until years later. Because while many celebrities made millions and lost it all, Sharon's name kept coming up in conversations about long-term wealth. So what did she do differently? And where did it all really begin? Before we get into it, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming uploads. We break down stories like this every week, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Sharon Cuneta's rise didn't build slowly, it exploded. While most teenagers were worrying about school and curfews, she was already selling records, landing major film roles, and becoming one of the most recognizable faces in the country. Reports from that era suggest the money came in fast, and in amounts most adults never see in a lifetime. By her mid-teens, she was already earning what many would call a first million, setting her apart from nearly everyone her age. But that kind of success comes with a cost. The industry moved quickly, expectations were sky high, and there was very little room to pause and process what was happening. Fame wasn't something she stepped into gradually. It surrounded her overnight.
Nakadaling planeta.
With endorsement deals, appearances, and non-stop projects, the income kept flowing, but so did the pressure. And here's the part that often gets overlooked. Earning money that young doesn't automatically teach you how to protect it. It's been said that early on, much of the focus was on staying relevant and delivering hit after hit, not necessarily on long-term planning. Like many young stars, she was learning everything in real time, with the whole country watching. Still, that early chapter mattered. It gave her access, leverage, and opportunities most people never get. But it also exposed the difference between making money and understanding it. And that lesson would become impossible to ignore as the years went on. Because the bigger her career became, the clearer it was that fame alone wasn't enough to guarantee stability. And soon, the cracks behind the spotlight started to show. As Sharon's career kept climbing, the spotlight grew harsher. From the outside, it looked like non-stop success, hit projects, constant media attention, and a lifestyle many could only dream of. But behind the scenes, fame came with demands that never slowed down. Every move was watched, every decision scrutinized, and every break questioned. Success wasn't just expected, it was required. With that pressure came spending that felt almost unavoidable. Maintaining an image, supporting a growing team, and keeping up with an industry that rewards visibility can quietly drain even massive earnings. Reports and past interviews suggest that despite how much money was coming in, there were moments when financial security felt far less certain than people assumed. The income was real, but so were the expenses. What made it even more complicated was timing. Sharon was still growing into herself while being treated like a fully formed brand. There wasn't much space to make mistakes privately. Any misstep, whether financial or personal, became public conversation.
Kasi siguro mistizo, akala ko suplado, antipatiko, ganyan. When we finally got to meet
And that kind of environment doesn't exactly encourage careful, long-term thinking. It pushes survival mode. This is where the story starts to shift. Because while fame magnified the risks, it also exposed something important. It became clear that staying busy wasn't the same as staying secure. And no matter how big her name was, The system she was in wouldn't protect her forever. That realization planted a seed, a quiet understanding that real stability wouldn't come from applause or box office numbers. It would have to come from something deeper, something learned long before the cameras ever turned on. And that's where a familiar influence begins to matter more than ever. As the pressure of fame exposed its limits, Sharon didn't have to look far for a different way of thinking. Long before the money, the awards, or the spotlight, she grew up watching her father, Pablo Cuneta, navigate power, responsibility, and long-term consequences. He wasn't part of show business, but his influence quietly shaped how she understood success. Pablo Cuneta was known for structure and discipline, someone who understood that authority and stability are built over time, not rushed. Growing up in that environment meant Sharon was exposed early to conversations about responsibility, restraint, and the weight of decisions. Even if those lessons didn't fully register when she was younger, they never disappeared.
Naku, parang sirang plaka na to. Every year naman pareho sinasabi namin. Pero I just want to say again, maraming salamat sa inyo, sa pagmamahal niyo.
It's been said that as her career matured, those early influences started to resurface. Instead of chasing every opportunity for visibility, she became more selective. Instead of measuring success by how busy she was, the focus slowly shifted to how sustainable her life actually felt. This wasn't an overnight transformation. It came after highs, setbacks, and moments of realization that fame alone couldn't provide lasting security. What made the shift powerful was that it wasn't about copying someone else's strategy. It was about remembering a mindset she had grown up around, one that valued ownership over appearance and patience over impulse. That way of thinking didn't erase past mistakes, but it reframed how she approached the future. And once that perspective took hold, everything changed, because the next phase of her journey wasn't about staying in the spotlight. It was about learning how to move beyond it. With that mindset slowly taking shape, Sharon entered a phase that would define her longevity. Instead of clinging to the version of success that worked in her teens and 20s, she adapted, again and again. While many stars from her era struggled to stay relevant, she found ways to evolve without losing her identity. She shifted between music, film, television, and endorsements with intention. Each move wasn't just about staying visible. It was about staying valuable. Reports suggest she became more selective with projects, choosing ones that aligned with where she wanted to be long-term rather than what paid the fastest. That alone set her apart in an industry driven by short-term wins. This period is crucial to understanding her wealth story, because while the public saw comebacks and new chapters, the real shift was happening off-camera. Fame was no longer the foundation. It was becoming leverage, a tool she could use, not something she depended on. And that distinction mattered. Once fame stopped being the engine and started becoming the fuel, it opened the door to decisions that most people never associate with celebrities. Because the next move wasn't about another hit movie or album. It was about putting her money somewhere that didn't care if she stayed famous at all. And that's when the quiet pivot began. While the spotlight stayed focused on her career, Sharon was making moves that didn't make headlines. Instead of pouring everything back into visibility, reports and interviews over the years suggest she began shifting serious attention toward long-term assets, especially real estate.
Ito nga ang bahay ni Miss Sharon Cuneta na kung saan talaga namang parang milyones talaga at parang nasa hotel ka talaga.
It wasn't flashy, and it wasn't something she publicly promoted. That was the point. Real estate offered what fame never could: stability. Properties don't care about trends, ratings, or public opinion. They generate value quietly, over time. And for someone who had seen how unpredictable the entertainment industry could be, that kind of security mattered. It's been said that this phase marked a deliberate effort to let her money work without constant supervision. And yet, this move didn't erase challenges. Investing isn't risk-free, and even smart decisions can come with setbacks. But the difference now was intent. This wasn't about chasing income. It was about building something that could last beyond the spotlight. There was no need to prove anything anymore. No pressure to keep up appearances or match the exaggerated expectations placed on her name. Instead, the focus shifted to control, balance, and peace of mind. This is where her story separates from the typical celebrity wealth narrative. While others chased bigger houses, louder lifestyles, and constant validation, Sharon leaned into restraint. Reports and observations suggest she became far more intentional with spending, choosing comfort and security over excess. Not because she couldn't afford more, but because she no longer needed to. That discipline showed in how she lived. There were no dramatic displays of wealth, no public obsession with numbers, and no attempts to compete with anyone else's version of success. Her lifestyle reflected someone who understood the value of sustainability, not spectacle. And that choice alone fueled even more speculation. When people don't see excess, they assume hidden riches. But restraint wasn't about hiding. It was about independence. By reducing reliance on constant income, she created space to choose projects for meaning, not necessity. That freedom is something money can buy, but only if it's handled correctly. Over time, this approach rebuilt confidence. Not public confidence, but personal confidence. The kind that comes from knowing your foundation is solid, even if the spotlight fades. And that foundation didn't rely on fame staying forever. Which leads to one final question. If her wealth was real but her numbers stayed private, why does her financial story remain so hard to define? And why does that mystery keep people talking?
That you truly were not aware of the fact that you were left behind, or that speaks a lot about how secure.
By this point, it should be clear why Sharon Cuneta's financial story refuses to fit into a clean headline. Unlike celebrities who turn their wealth into a brand, she kept hers layered, private, and spread across time. That alone makes accurate estimates nearly impossible. A big part of the confusion comes from how wealth is measured. Public figures are often judged by visible income, but long-term assets don't show up on social media. Real estate, private investments, and family-held properties rarely come with public price tags. When those assets quietly appreciate over decades, outsiders are left guessing. There's also the reality of shared wealth. Some reports suggest that estimates floating online blend personal earnings with family assets, further muddying the picture. Add inflation, currency differences, and changing property values, and even well-meaning calculations can become wildly exaggerated. Another factor is discretion. Sharon rarely addresses financial rumors directly. That silence isn't accidental. In many cultures, especially among families with long-standing public roles, privacy around money is intentional. It protects security, boundaries, and peace of mind. But it also invites speculation. Ironically, the more she avoids talking about money, the louder the assumptions become. Some take her calm lifestyle as proof of extreme wealth. Others point to past struggles as evidence that the rumors are overblown. The truth likely sits somewhere in between, complex, layered, and far less dramatic than the internet prefers. And that's what makes her story interesting. Because in the end, the most important part isn't the number everyone argues about. It's what that journey reveals about success itself. So when you strip away the rumors, the headlines, and the guesses, what's really left? That final answer might be the most surprising part of all.
I'm so surprised nga that a lot of people still don't know that I'm a Sharonian.
No,
but
I don't say that.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people know we've been friends for a while.
I know.
Yeah.
After everything she experienced, the truth becomes clear. Whether Sharon Cuneta is a billionaire or not was never the most important part of her story. The real lesson lies in how she navigated success, setbacks, and reinvention without letting any single phase define her. She earned early, lost perspective, relearned discipline, and rebuilt with intention. That cycle is what separated her from so many others who burned out or disappeared. Her journey shows that wealth isn't just about how much you make, but how long you can sustain it. Fame gave her a platform, but choices gave her freedom. Assets outlast applause. Discipline outlasts hype. And privacy, in many ways, became her greatest advantage. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video. It really helps the channel. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and tell us what story you want covered next. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming uploads.